Servus und willkommen zurück hier bei Lamplight City. Wir sind auf dem Weg vom Lampendezernat zur Wohnung von Burley Course. Ah ja, sieht ja sehr nobel aus.
And I thought the housekeeping in my apartment was bad. The number is a bit faded. Is this 2B or is it not 2B? That's the question. Apartment 2A. This is the place.
Dann schauen wir mal.
There doesn't seem to be anyone at home.
Und hier?
Yeah? May I help you, young man?
Hello, madam. My name is Miles Fordham, and I'm a private investigator. I have some questions about your neighbor.
You mean my former neighbor?
Yes. In any case, I'd appreciate it if you could help me with some information.
Nah, I don't think so. The last person to ask me about him was that awful policeman. I don't want to have to go through that again.
I'm sorry you had a bad experience, but I can assure you I won't give you a hard time.
Well, that's easy for you to say, but actions speak louder than words.
Uh-oh. I think I know where this is
Die
going.
will Kohle.
Is there anything I can do for you then?
Oder so?
Well, since you asked, my layabout husband is out wasting our retirement fund with his drinking. Go find him and bring him back here. Then maybe we can talk.
Oh,
man.
wonderful. Now we're playing babysitter.
You'll find him at the Silent Raven. It's not too far from here.
Yes, I know it.
Good. My husband's name is Kurt Williamson. You tell him his wife Ethel wants him home at once.
I'll do my best, Mrs. Williamson.
Also die Übersetzung ist auch nicht so korrekt. Ist das vielleicht der fette Typ, der da hinten im Silent Raven rumgehangen hat? Kann das sein? Schauen wir mal nach. Die freuen sich sicher, uns wiederzusehen. Das ist immer noch hier. Das ist immer noch offen. Was ist hier los? Schlamperei. Ah, können wir die auch wieder reden? Hallo, meine Schöne.
Excuse me, barmaid?
Hi, what do you need?
Do you know anything about the man sitting at that table over there?
Not really. He comes in here a few times a week, but he mostly keeps to himself. I see his type all the time, though. Older, probably retired and looking to escape his home life. I feel sorry for him, but that sort of customer is my bread and butter.
Okay.
Are you familiar with the Justice Killer?
What is that, some fancy drink concoction?
Zum Beispiel.
No. It's the name that's been given to a serial murderer here in the Chum.
I see. Never heard of him. And if he's smart, he won't show his face around here.
You know, this place suddenly feels just a little bit safer.
Ganz genau.
How are things here now that the election hubbub has subsided?
Oh, right. I thought you looked familiar. You were the one in here asking about the fellow who was killed.
Exactly.
That's right.
Well, there hasn't been too much excitement since then. I've hardly had to toss anyone out, which is a right shame.
Why's that?
Kicking out a rowdy customer shakes things up a bit on a quiet night like this. Gets the blood flowing, you know?
Rauswürfeln.
What would a customer have to do to warrant being thrown out?
My general rule is if they're being a nuisance, they're out. If they try to pick a fight or are just being generally disrespectful, it's a one-way ticket to the pavement outside.
Good to know.
Alles klar.
I appreciate you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Gut, dann wissen wir schon, wie wir den rausbekommen, glaube ich. Weil er wird wahrscheinlich nicht mitgehen.
Excuse me, are you Kurt Williamson?
That's right. Who are you?
Miles Fordham. I'm a private investigator.
Oh, yeah? What is it you want from me?
Die Frau will sie unverzüglich zu Hause haben.
Ethel sent me to tell you she wants you to come home right away.
I should have known. I can't get away for more than a few hours before she's put the entire city on high alert. How much of my retirement fund did she waste on getting you to come down here?
I'm only doing this because I need some information.
The joke's on you, then. You can just go back and tell her I'll come home when I'm damn well ready.
Tja.
Why is it you're so averse to returning home?
I enjoy going out and having a good time. Is that so wrong?
Your wife told me she doesn't like you spending your money on drink.
What I spend my money on is none of her business, and even less of yours. What's this world coming to when a man can't even drink in peace without all his affairs shouted from the rooftops?
You know, this whole situation seems awfully familiar.
Tja,
Listen, Mr. Williamson, I think I know what you're going through.
Oh, yeah?
My wife and I were having a rough patch. I wasn't being honest with her, and it nearly drove us apart.
But you managed to fix things.
Yes, I was fortunate. I did the right thing before it was too late.
And what did you do?
Vielleicht machen wir das einfach mal so, oder?
It was simple. I just communicated honestly and openly with her. I told her what was wrong and how I was feeling. And you know what? She listened. Have you ever told Ethel why you like going out?
No. I assumed she wouldn't understand. I really wish she would come out with me, but I know she'd never agree.
How do you know? Have you actually talked to her about this?
Well, no.
Well, then maybe you should. If she knew you wanted company, she might just give it a try.
You know, I never thought of it like that. I'm going to go home right now and tell her. And if she refuses, well, at least I asked, right?
That's the spirit.
Thanks for the advice, friend. I really do appreciate it.
Das ging jetzt einfacher als gedacht.
Not bad. I have to say, I'm impressed.
Das ging jetzt wirklich einfacher als gedacht. Ich dachte, das würde jetzt irgendwie auf Schlägerei hinauslaufen. Aber naja, alles klar, gut. Wenn es so sein soll, bitte. So, jetzt meine Gute.
Ah, Mr. Fordham. Thank you so much for getting Kurt back home.
Don't mention it. Now, would you be willing to answer some questions?
Why, yes, of course.
Gut. Ach, die sieht ja lustig aus.
Tell me what you know about Burley Cause.
He and his wife hadn't been living next door very long, maybe 4 months or so. But I didn't talk to either of them very much. They weren't interested in being neighborly, I guess. It's a shame, really. Maybe if we had known one another better, something like this could have been prevented.
Ja.
What happened on the day Mr. Cause was killed?
I was here at home, doing my knitting as usual. All of a sudden, I heard a loud bang. It sounded like a gunshot. I went and knocked on Mrs. Cause's door, but there was no answer. I did notice a smell, though, like flowers.
Okay.
Something seemed wrong, so I decided to report the incident to the police. Not long after that, an officer showed up and started asking questions. Awful man he was, so rude. I gotta report him, but I forgot his name. I think it started with a P.
Parsons?
Yes, that's him. He called for some more officers and they got into the apartment. That's when I found out Mr. Cause had been murdered.
Okay.
Where is Mrs. Cause now?
I don't know, with her mother maybe. That's usually how it goes.
You wouldn't happen to know where that is, would you?
Afraid not, but there is one other thing.
Und zwar?
Yes?
Don't say I told you this, but, well, I used to hear the two of them through my wall. I tried ignoring it since it's really none of my business, but it became impossible.
What was it you heard?
I don't believe they had a happy marriage. They'd have awful fights a couple times a week.
What would they fight about?
Oh, all sorts of things. The worst one was when she discovered he was going to a brothel. I think he might have hit her on a few occasions, too, but it can't be certain. I hope you don't think me a horrible old gossip, but I thought you might like to know.
Not at all. I'm glad you told me.
Interesting, interesting. Diese Ruby könnte auch eine Verbindung zu allen
Are
sein.
you familiar with the Justice Killer?
You mean the serial killer who's been killing men in Chumley?
That's the one.
Nah, never heard of him.
What?
I'm just pulling your leg, Mr. Fordham.
I like this one. She's got spirit.
Das ist cool.
Unfortunately, I only know what I've read in the Gazette, but it's scary to think some maniac is loose on the streets doing such terrible things. And with Kurt going out by himself for hours at a time, oh, I don't like it one bit.
How long have you been living here?
Well, Kurt and I moved in shortly after we were married, so it's been about 34 years.
Goodness, that's a long time to be living in one place.
Yes, well, the building may be a bit run down, and it gets colder than cold in the winter, but the rent has always been cheap. You can't really ask for much more than that.
I appreciate your time, Mrs. Williamson.
Have a good day, Mr. Fordham.
Mr. Fordham, okay. Haben wir wieder was erfahren. Wir wissen zwar noch nicht, wo diese Ruby ist oder das Bordell, aber interesting. Fehlt noch einer. Was ist mit dem los?
Remember, a black eye is not a badge of honor. Anyone picking a fight will be dismissed immediately. That's
Alles
hardly
klar.
any fun, is it? I thought about a career as a mechanic once. Glad I chose police work. Way less messy.
Sonst ist ja eh nichts, außer der Hermann.
A good old reliable hansom cab. Nothing fancy, just gets you from point A to point B. The way it should be.
Good evening.
Oh, it's you again. Small world.
Indeed. Mr. Shaw, was it?
That's right. So, what brings you around to the cab depot?
I wanted to ask you some questions if you could spare some
Woher
time.
kennen wir den?
Shouldn't be a problem.
Ah, ist das der Penner? Entschuldigung, der Taxifahrer, den wir damals beim Mord an der guten Madame so und so, die verbrannt ist, gesehen haben? Könnte sein.
Did you know Reggie Willingham?
Reggie? Sure, I knew him. Well, just as rather I didn't.
Oh? Why do you say that?
The man was a bore, a scoundrel, a no-good bounder.
I wish he would tell us how he really felt.
Only reason they kept him on here was because he was a good driver.
So it's fair to say you didn't like him?
Nobody did. When I heard he'd been killed, wasn't exactly a surprise. If I treated people the way he did, I'd surely have a lot of enemies.
Could you elaborate a bit on Mr. Willingham's behavior?
Oh, he was a proud one. Thought he was God's gift to mankind. Always strutting around, bragging about how many gratuities he'd earned or how many fist fights he'd won against drivers from Phillips. He had the shortest fuse I've ever seen, too. Just looking at him the wrong way could set him off. I'd always laugh to myself when he'd brag about how many women he'd had in a week.
Why is that?
Because it was obvious he had to pay for the pleasure. A man like that isn't going to get a woman otherwise. I may not be a hit with the ladies, but even I know that being a bastard is a surefire way to drive 'em off.
Alles klar.
Are you familiar with the so-called justice killer?
I've heard a few rumors here and there about some murders in the chum, but I haven't paid 'em much attention. There's plenty for me to worry about in my own life.
Aren't you concerned for your safety?
Not really. Well, I haven't done anything wrong. So if this loony's going around doing justice, nothing for me to worry about.
He makes a good point. I think we need to get a better idea of what exactly these victims did to incur the wrath of our killer.
Definitiv.
What can you tell me about Colson Cabs?
Not a bad place, really. Only problem is the number of people always coming here for work. Lots of folks think driving a cab is an easy job that anyone can do, but that's not the case. You need to know this city like the back of your hand, and it helps to know how to drive. So we get lots of fellas starting here who don't have the slightest clue what they're doing. They don't last long.
What about the automated cabs? Are those a problem for you?
I prefer not to think about those. Colson said he's got no plans to replace his fleet, so it's all that matters to me.
Okay, das kann ich verstehen.
Are you still living in Pumblechook Place?
I am, sir. Things are more or less the same, except Roger's not around anymore. Suppose he must have moved on. Hope he isn't planning on coming back, because his paintings made for great kindling.
Oh, I have a feeling he won't be.
Ich glaube auch, dass der nicht mehr wiederkommt.
Have you had any trouble from the Redites?
No, sir. They got no reason to give us any trouble, what with us still using horse-drawn cabs. I imagine the fellas over at Phillips have, but I can't be certain. We don't deal with those a lot if we can help it.
I don't think interviewing anyone from Phillips would be a good use of our time. Our priority is finding the justice killer, after all.
I appreciate your time, sir.
Pleasure's all mine.
Pleasure's all mine. Alles klar. Das war jetzt nicht sehr ergiebig. Wir haben auch nicht rausgefunden, wo der wohnt. Aber wir wissen, dass er öfter wie sagen wir jetzt, die Dienste von bezahlten Damen in Anspruch genommen hat. Okay, das scheint jetzt auch nicht mehr auf. Wir sichern. Wir nennen das jetzt einfach mal bezahlte Damen. Bezahlte Damen. Okay, gut. So, sie ist nicht im Apartment, oder? Nein. Können wir uns das nochmal angucken? Aber nichts Neues.
Interesting place.
Nö, nichts Neues. Okay. Dann, wir haben gespeichert. Gehen wir mal zum guten. Dem kann man noch nichts Neues sagen, oder? Über seine Maschine hier.
Completely ruined.
Nein.
Mr. Mi
Yes.
Nein.
I'll be going.
Be careful.
Nichts Neues, nicht. Gut, wir haben gespeichert. Dann schauen wir mal zum guten Chief. Ah, okay. So sieht es jetzt hier aus.
Fordham, how goes the investigation?
I'm making some headway.
Is that right? I certainly hope so for your sake.
The rumor was always that the chief kept a bottle of something in a secret compartment in this cabinet. In Snelling's case, it's probably just water. Ah, Chief Jacobs. Now there was a leader.
Okay.
Every book and file in there is organized to perfection. I'll bet Snelling gets flustered if anything is even a millimeter out of place. You should bump into the side when he's not looking.
Nein, das machen wir jetzt nicht. Jetzt werden wir mit ihm reden und schauen, ob es uns was bringt.
Chief Snelling?
Yes, Fordham?
What information do you have on the Justice Killer?
Clearly not as much as you.
Oh, I see how this is gonna go.
Aha.
Well, what do you have?
A list of 5 victims, some information on each of them, and no clear idea what connects them. Until your discovery of the lily at each scene, that was where we stood. While I doubt this discovery will do much to aid in tracking him down, I'm willing to give you the benefit of the doubt.
Do you know anything about Percival McDonough?
He's a member of parliament. I believe his constituency is somewhere in central Kingsland. From the reports I've gotten, McDonough led a rather unassuming life for a politician.
Das glaube ich
He
nicht.
is, however, the first victim who didn't live in Chumley. Either there's a link we've missed, or the killer is changing his method. Then again, since you seem so confident in your abilities to resolve this matter, I assume you'll provide an explanation.
Count on it. What do you know about the Justice Killer's previous victims?
Only what's in their files. All working men from Chumley. That's the only link.
You didn't look further into their personal lives? Maybe they had some social connection.
As I said, the detectives found nothing. You seem to think you can do better, so I'll leave it up to you.
You have to wonder how much more thorough the department's investigations would have been if the 4 men were all rich like McDonough.
Mhm. Würde ich auch so sehen.
So I see the department is still running like a well-oiled machine.
It is, in fact. But I'm sure Upton has kept you well informed of our activities. Incidentally, the woman accused in the Harris kidnapping is set to testify in court today.
Ah, okay. Interesting.
Linda Walker's trial is today? That was fast.
Indeed. Sometimes the wheels of justice grind slowly. Sometimes they spin out of control. She'll be taking the stand within the hour. If you care to hear her for yourself, best get going soon.
Ja, selbstverständlich wollen wir das hören.
Have you got any information on the Redites?
The Redites? That ridiculous gang of troublemakers? Yes, I have some information. What's your interest in them?
A witness is refusing to speak with me unless I can figure out who sabotaged his iron mill.
I see. All I can offer is a list of names of known Redites along with their last known whereabouts.
Ja, das
But
reicht
I
doch schon.
remind you that you only have until tomorrow afternoon before this indulgence expires, and I throw you in jail. This seems like a waste of time.
Das
That's
glaub
my
ich nicht.
decision to make.
Eben.
Very well. I'll give you the list when you're ready to leave.
Okay.
Listen, about Leger...
I don't want to hear it, Fordham. What happened, happened. Nothing you can say is going to change my opinion on the matter.
And if I manage to find the man responsible?
The man responsible is standing before me. Even if you manage to find the culprit you let escape, it isn't going to bring Leger back from the dead.
But it will bring closure to the matter.
If that thought is what allows you to sleep at night, then so be it.
What makes him think you sleep at night?
Enjoying your new position, Snelling?
Reaping the rewards for years of hard work and dedicated service. A gratifying feeling you'll never be able to experience.
Ja.
Oh, I get my gratification in other ways.
I'm sure you do, and I'd honestly rather not know about them.
I need to get back to my investigation.
Yes, time is not on your side, Fordham. Here you are. This is the most recent list of known Redites.
Clovis Sullivan.
This is a lot of names. If we're going to track down this saboteur, it might be best to retire to a more tranquil environment. Fancy a trip back to Upton's?
Ja, würde ich auch sagen. Schauen wir mal. Clovis Sullivan, Suspect. Okay, nein, das schauen wir uns anders mal an, wie er gesagt hat. Bei der Guten in der Wohnung. Jetzt machen wir uns mal auf ins Gericht und schauen uns den Linda Walker-Prozess an. Da sind wir schon.
Remind me, Miles, why are we here again? Is this for your own personal satisfaction, or did you expect her to have some useful information?
Shh! Mrs. Linda Walker, you stand accused of kidnapping Charles Harris. What have you to say in your defense?
I had to see if I could speak with my son Alexander again.
Yes. According to your initial statement, you seem to believe that the Harris child is the reincarnation of your own deceased son.
All the evidence was there. I thought it had to be him.
And in regards to the execution of your plan, you secretly administered a soporific drug to your friend and the Harris family nanny, Mrs. Henrietta Davis? Is that correct?
Yes. I felt terrible about doing it, but there was no other way.
According to your journal, you used a mixture of chamomile and valerian, instructed by a Samuel, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes. Samuel is a friend of mine. He works at the docks, and he knows all about plants.
Okay.
I asked him what the best combination of herbs would be to put someone in a deep sleep.
So it was your idea, and not his?
Yes, that's right. He only told me about the plants. He's quite the expert. Why, you should see his collection of Easter lilies.
Aha.
Did she just say what I think she said?
Now then, let's turn our attention to the night in question.
Interesting. This Samuel person might be worth looking into. Although we can't waste time searching the docks with just a first name. I'd make a note of it, just in case it becomes relevant later. All right, I've had enough of this courtroom. Let's get back out there. Time's running out.
Die Geschworenen sehen alle sehr interessiert aus, würde ich mal sagen. Das ist aber interessant. Okay. Samuel, okay.
Right, this should be a quiet enough spot to concentrate on finding that saboteur.
Bla bla.
I just hope Upton doesn't mind you turning her parlor into your own personal study.
I'm sure she'll have no objection. Now, let's have a look at that list again.
Was ich noch sagen wollte, er hat eine große Sammlung von Osterlilien. Das ist einmal sehr interessant. Gut, also, Clovis Sullivan, Suspect in Free... Habe ich das zu übersetzen oder sagen wir das?
I think we can rule out Mr. Sullivan as a suspect. He's Western Vespuccia's problem now.
Genau. Dann der gute Herr hier.
Unless Mr. McKee has escaped from prison, which I highly doubt, he's not our man.
Ganz genau.
Paris Wilson. Those initials don't match the ones on the letter. I don't think this is our suspect. If dead men could cause explosions, let's just say things would be a lot different. This clearly isn't the right suspect.
Ich sage nur so viel.
Peyton Ferguson. The initials match those on the letter we got at the Lamplight Depot.
I'd say it's our best bet.
Lucian Donaldson. Those initials don't match the ones on the letter. I don't think this person is our suspect.
Ich glaube auch, dass der gute Herr hier ist. Gut, dann haben wir jetzt eine neue Adresse. Oder? Ja, richtig. Peyton Ferguson. Also, hier kommen wir. Ja.
Well, well. Who's this lovely specimen?
Allow me to introduce Peyton Ferguson, known Redite and prime suspect in a sabotage at the Thorbomb Ironworks. I picked him up and brought him straight to you.
Ooh, a saboteur. Just leave him to me and I'll make him feel right at home.
Please find the Justice Killer soon, Miles. Being Giles' prisoner is not my idea of a good time.
Right. I'll leave you to it then.
Das war's jetzt? Das ist aber schnell gegangen. Hallo? Gut. Okay. Dann mal schauen, was wir jetzt erfahren.
Mr. Mims, a word if you wouldn't mind?
Yes, what is it?
I found the person responsible for sabotaging your iron mill.
Oh, yeah?
His name is Peyton Ferguson. He's currently at the Bow Street Jail.
Hey, not bad. I owe you one, Detective.
He certainly does.
Definitiv so. Und jetzt mach mal den Mund auf, mein Junge.
What can you tell me about Hannibal Kirkland?
Good worker. Mostly kept to himself. Real shame what happened to him.
You said Kirkland was a good worker?
One of my best. I knew something was up when he didn't show up for a couple of days. Don't think he'd ever missed work before.
Did he have any personal effects he kept here, or an area where he worked?
He had a cabinet downstairs in the workers' changing area, just like everyone else. You can go take a look if you want, but I don't think the police found anything. Kirkland's cabinet is the third one from the left.
Gut, danke schön, das werden wir machen. Aber Privatleben interessiert uns natürlich auch.
Do you know if anyone here disliked Kirkland?
Enough to want him dead? Nah. There's the occasional scrap, but everyone around here gets along for the most part. Like I said, he mostly kept to himself. Head down, didn't bother nobody.
Do you know what he did outside of work?
No idea. I only ever saw him here.
I'll be going now.
Be careful on your way out.
Gut, dann schauen wir uns mal um. Jetzt dürfen wir, ja? Der dritte von links hat er gesagt. Was haben wir dann hier noch? Eine Heizung?
At least having a heater down here manages to keep things warm. I remember the changing rooms at the police station were always ice cold.
Ice cold. So, was haben wir hier? Geehrte Herren, bitte nicht mehr unter der Dusche rasieren. Die Putzfrau hat mir beinahe den Kopf abgerissen. Sie sagt, dass der Ausfluss mit den ganzen Haaren nicht klarkommt. Mims. Okay. Das ist ja eh er. Können wir da rein?
Sounds like there's someone in there. If you weren't so bashful, I'd suggest joining in. You could certainly use it.
Ja, offensichtlich haben wir das jetzt schon öfter gehört. Gut, dann schauen wir mal. Kirklands Schrank. Haben wir... Aha.
Just another unmarked...
Da brauchen wir eine Kombination. Haben wir da irgendwas? Keine... Hallo? Lieber Freund, brauchen wir eine Kombination.
Mr. Mims,
Yes?
would you happen to know the combination to Hannibal Kirkland's cabinet?
No. Every worker sets their own combination, and I don't ask for it.
What happens if they were to forget it?
Well, I have them come up with some sort of personal reminder and keep those in a file.
And do you still have Kirkland's?
I'll give it to you as soon as we're done talking.
I'll be going now.
Be careful on your way out.
All right.
There you go. You're lucky I only clean out my files at the end of the year.
See? I always told you I wasn't disorganized. Just preparing for the future.
The Shipwreck, the Red and White Design. Schiffswrack, das Rote und das Weiße, das Zeichen. The Shipwreck. Ah, 7. Dann... Moment, was haben wir hier? Wo waren wir da? Da. Das Schiffswrack, das Rote und das Weiße, das Schild. Schiffswrack ist 7. Was ist das Rote und das Weiße? Was ist das Rote und das Weiße? Das Schild. Schiffswrack ist 7. Was ist das Rote und das Weiße? Das Schild. Was ist das Rote und das Weiße? Das Schild. Was ist das Rote und das Weiße? Das Schild. Was ist das Rote und das Weiße? Das Schild. Was ist das Rote und das Weiße? Das Schild. Was ist das Rote und das Weiße? Das Schild. Was ist das Rote und das Weiße? Das Schild. Was ist das Rote und das Weiße? Das Schild. Was ist das Rote und das Weiße? Das Schild. Was ist das Rote und das Weiße? Das Schild. Was ist das Rote und das Weiße? Das Schild. Was ist das Rote und das Weiße? Das Schild. Was ist das Rote und das Weiße? Das Schild. Was ist das Rote und das Weiße? Das Schild. Was ist das Rote und das Weiße? Das Schild. Was ist das Rote und das Weiße? Das Schild. Was ist das Rote und das Weiße? Das Schild. Was ist das Rote und das Weiße? Das Schild. Was Und das Schild ist das hier, oder? Da haben wir einmal 5 und einmal 4. 754, kann das sein? Nein. Oder 9? Ist das zusammenzuzählen? Sollen wir das zusammenzählen? Aber was ist das Rote und das Weiße?
At least having a heater down here manages to keep things warm. I remember the change. Sounds like the.
Das ist alles hier, aber was ist das Rote und das Weiße? Ist das eine 6? Oder eine 5? In der nächsten Episode werden wir es herausfinden. Vielen Dank fürs Zusehen. Servus und bis bald.